Hi, so I used this morning on a router table, so I'm going to actually take it apart and demonstrate what I did to set it up. So as you can see, I've clamped the whole unit to the bench here, so just unclamp that. Remove that for a moment. So inside here I've used my site router. That's the 1/2 inch Makita router. I've had that for about 12 years. It's just absolutely no trouble at all to do this job. So what I did is I've packed the fence out so I can retain the fence behind without damaging the fence behind, and just use this hook. On the back, I'll just tilt it forward. On the back you can see there's extraction hose. I just use the adapter and then straight on there with the shop vac extraction. That worked really well, kept the back of the hood area there really clean, which is really useful when you're doing this job. You don't want to be stopping every 5 minutes to clean things out. Okay, so the joint I was making is just a simple rebate joint for doors and door panels, or maybe floorboards. If you're using a hardwood flooring, you want to make your own floorboards. Just this straightforward rebate, make yourself a lap joint. So I was quite pleased with the way it turned out. It's very easy to adjust. I'll just demonstrate now that cut. If you look at it end grain on, press those down flat, and you can see probably, you know, what my friend would call a cigarette paper width in there, something, which is pretty good. So I'm just going to demonstrate now passing those through on the machine and how they look. It's not very noisy, but you might want to watch out. So first thing I'll do is just switch on the extractor. So that should give you an idea of the cut. As you can see, another nice cut, very flat. But if you were doing panelled or flooring, that would be just perfectly fine. And take a nice chamfer off that leading edge as well. Use the router for that. Take a chamfer off. That'll look really nice. Right, so I decided I will put a leading edge chamfer on here to show what you can do quite easily with this router table. Just show the designs you can put in. I don't have the ball cutter, the ball nose cutter, which is a shame because that looks quite nice. So what I'm going to do is just put a 45-degree chamfer on this. So now I've got to change the bit inside here. So what I've done is I've left the lock-in lever on. I'll show that. Put that to one side for now. I've left the router lock-in lever on while I adjust the rise and fall one here. Unfortunately, that does take a little bit of time. And then steady the router a little bit, take that off, and let it come back up. Now, I'd note to anybody watching this, for safety reasons, I always take the plug out. It's not even turned off at the mains, it's completely disconnected. To get a rough idea of the position, the height, I know I probably want it to come through about 6 mil through there. So first of all, I'm just going to push it up, lock it off in position, and check against a piece of wood and then make fine adjustments from that. So looking at that, that's too much. Right, so now I know the round fence needs to go back. Right. I'm actually pretty happy eyeing that through. Okay, so maybe this illustrates the point of using these a little bit better than earlier in the video. The fact that if you've got a large cutter going through there, you can separate these. But I've only got a small cutter going through there now, so I can close these off and bring that in reasonably tight to the cutter. You can't do tighter than that. You can even cut it and trim it with the bandsaw if you wanted to. But for this demonstration, that's quite good enough. So using the false fence is only a piece of 3x2, just increases the safety of what you're doing somewhat. So those won't touch, but I've still got access to my cutter while being reasonably safer. Okay, so now I'm going to do the test run and see what it looks like. Right, so it's not a massive chamfer, if you can see that. It's probably about 4mm, but I'm only putting it on a 10mm surface, so actually that should be about right. So I'll run these through now and we can have a look. Height set correctly. What I need to do is adjust the fence backwards so it fits at the right dimension here. We need to get exactly the same cut on this side. So I'm just going to have a little fiddle and a little look. Use the old pencil technique. So I happen to know this shoulder here is 6mm, so this should actually be 6mm back. So, right, that's not actually unplugged, but I'm going to do that anyway. Turn that colour out so it's out of the way. Put this in position. Get a couple of speed cramps. Fit those tight to the fence. One. Tight to the fence. 2. Take those cramps off. Those are the adjustable coach bolts at the back. And use my rule to get the 6mm difference. That 6mm is the depth, as I said, the depth of the rebate. That's 6mm spot on. Lock one in position, go back to the other one. I expect that it's moved quite a lot. And there we go, there's 2. At 6mm. Bit has protruded quite a bit from the fence. It could be, people might think it's a bit dangerous, so the best thing to do with this sort of situation is always use a push stick. Okay, so I did check it the first pass through, and I thought to myself it looked pretty nice, pretty accurate, pretty good. So if you want to look at that, I think that's pretty good. I'm actually quite tempted to do some real woodwork now. So I suppose if you want to know, how did I get on with this? One thing I would do when I was setting up my router table again, is I'd most certainly screw through the base plate to stop any sliding. This machine didn't slide while it was being used, but when I was adjusting, taking the cutter bit out, it did slide. And so for that reason I put the grub screws in the top, through the top and into the base plate. Other than that, using this was really, really smooth. I was surprised how excellent the shock back was on the back here. Worked a treat. There's almost no dust build up in there at all. I didn't even wear a mask, which I usually do, but there's no dust in the atmosphere. Very stable. The router itself is a beast, so it would have no problem cutting this, but it was really smooth, really easy. I like the adjustable fence idea. I'd like to screw that into the back. This unit's for sale, but actually I might keep it and make those adjustments and just use it myself anyway. So thanks for watching, and have a nice day.